so many like love stories are formed from fairy tales, and you know that sort of idealistic version of what love is and how two people should be together. And I think there's aspects of that, and I think we're always fighting for that in the film, that these two people that are sort of, you know, I guess like star-crossed lovers and people that on paper probably shouldn't be together, but they just like need each other. We meet this sort of enigma that is Christian Grey, that he's obviously a very powerful man and he's achieved so much, but nobody really knows a great deal about him, you know, and about his personality. And if he's photographed, he's always photographed alone, so nobody knows about his sort of personal life, and apart from the fact that he's been grossly successful. So Anastasia is, due to a friend's illness, ends up being asked to interview him for the university paper, and that's the sort of first meeting, which was such a key scene for us to film, and we actually gave it 2 days to film it so that we could really like give it the attention it deserved. And she gets to meet this guy that everyone wants to know about, really, and ends up being quite taken by him as he is with her. And then what ensues is a mad sort of back and forth like love story. That's what's so powerful, I think, about this film, is that like these people we're both making quite big compromises to, and having to change a lot and open up a side of them that they aren't necessarily comfortable with or have never even explored, to enable to be with each other. That's also a big part of it. It's that like two people who know they want to be together, but like really have to make wild sort of changes in who they are to have that happen. There's elements of like that sort of superhero power as well, that sort of like unattainable, intangible kind of like being, that like someone like, Bruce Wayne, Batman or something, and it's the same thing. He has like this underground layer with all his mad gadgets, and like he takes on this whole other persona. I think there's, aspects of that you apply to Christian. It's this sort of like, this unattainable wealth and power, and with his like fleet of cars and his jets and his glider and his helicopter and all the things that normal people don't have, But that's fun for a boy, Yeah, and it's James Bond-esque as well, that sort of that like boyhood fantasy thing of having all those things at your disposal, and literally having it at his disposal. I mean, if he like crashed one of those cars, it wouldn't be like a big deal. If he wasn't injured, it wouldn't be like a big deal because he's got like infinite amount of money. He's only let in a tiny bit into his life, and he wouldn't expose too much about himself. But I mean, with Anna, like, it unlocks this whole side to him, and he breaks so many of his own rules, and I think that's quite telling about how it is he feels about her, like how taken he is by her, that he lets her in so like far into his world, and like sort of taking her up in the helicopter and all that sort of stuff that he's never done before for anyone else. And she essentially sort of unlocks him, with just the way she is, and that like she has an effect on him that no one else has had before. The Red Room, I did want to spend a bit of time in, so I had been there. I'd been sort of left alone in there a couple of times before we shot there. It's obviously really important that Dakota hadn't seen the Red Room until we shot the first scene where, like, I mean, actually that is how we did it. Like the first scene where I said, I want to show you my playroom, and we opened the door and I, turn on the lights. That was legitimately the first time that Dakota saw the room. I think that's really important. No, but I'd spend a bit of time in there trying to get, I didn't want to be in there going, well, where did I keep that? I wanted to be pretty down with where everything was and the sort of layout of the room. So I'd spend a bit of time there. Dakota's great fun, you've worked that out, and she's funny, and we sort of instantly had like a thing where we're kind of, I know I sometimes consider myself to be funny, I guess, which I probably shouldn't, but like we have a thing where we're like trying to outdo each other sometimes with humour, and which I think is kind of essential going into a job, that sometimes there's scenes that are quite intense and you sort of need to have that humour to like um, appease those situations. Um, and but also she's very professional, and when it mattered, we sort of were very much in the game. I always trusted that Sam was the right person to be in charge of this film, based on the work that I know of hers, which is, I think, all of it, going into this. And she has a great, I think it's important to have a woman, but I mean, not to take away from Sam, I'm not saying this was just any old woman could have directed this, but because it's all comes from Anastasia's perspective, I think it was important to have a woman. And then Sam has dealt with sex in her past work in a very classy way and very dignified and demure, and but kept it sexy, but without it being gratuitous or over the top. And I think you're right. I think there other directors, without naming anyone, could have made it all those things and could have made it something that's just like overtly sexual without any sort of charm or class. But I think we all did. We always trusted that Sam, had our backs in that and was there to protect us, and would always, those scenes would be handled, correctly and in a way that we were all comfortable with. Yeah, I was always assured, like I was always certain that Sam was going to have our back on that. There's humour throughout the film, and I think it's important, and for the most part it falls to Anna because of the way it is, and Christian's not really known for his, he's not like laugh a minute kind of guy, but I get my moments in there, but yeah, it's trying to find that balance of humour, but also showing that there's a real connection here and a real like intensity and like attraction.